Ni hao. Welcome to this edition of DURKO's Notebook for the 2026 Chinese Grand Prix. Anyway, as you can tell, I'm not back at the desk. I'm actually in Seoul, South Korea. I'm here to experience some of the world's best barbecue chicken and a tour of the demilitarised zone this coming Thursday. Then I'll be back at the desk for Japan. Anyway, got a lot to talk about, so pull up a pew, sit back, relax and enjoy the show. You wouldn't fucking read about it. So as I sat in the grandstand at the Shanghai International Circuit, I was witness to two very strange rumours that I heard. One was online and one was by a bloke I was sitting within the grandstand. The first one was that the BYD company in China may make an offer to buy out the Aston Martin racing team. But you never know. I mean, BYD is the world's biggest manufacturer of batteries, and anything can happen with all the money they've got, plus the government backing. The second rumour I heard is that China could have, or be host to a second race, but God knows where that would be and if it ever comes off at all. Because I mean, the calendar's chock-a-block as it is, and we don't want to lose any more European races. And just to go to another street circuit would be absolutely bloody ridiculous. So, the Shanghai circuit, I've got to say I'm impressed with it. I was impressed with the COTA when I went there years ago, but Shanghai's on top of my list for one of the better circuits I've been to. It is absolutely huge. It's a long way out of the Shanghai city itself, but it's worth travelling to because you just get off a metro train and you walk for about 15 minutes to your grandstand, and that's it. It's clean. There's a shitload of food on offer. There is clean amenities everywhere. It is just next level, the number of staff they've got working at that joint. To make sure it all ticks over, and it's well worth it if you get the chance, or you can get an actual ticket to go to the race. It's worth attending. Now, as I sat in turn one, you see from this photo, I was sort of back from that marshal stand as they came from turn one into two. And the thing I was witness to was especially the McLarens, when they were in FP1 and the sprint quality sessions, they come into that first turn absolutely flat-bicky, and they sound like a fighter jet coming in. But all of a sudden they get to that point of the stand of the marshals, about line where I am, and they just lift off, and it's like they hit the pit lane limiter, and the cars just stop, and they go around 2 and into 3 and into 4, just literally coasting, and you can just hear them burbling away, and you think, well, they're not exactly pushing it, but is it a massive recharge thing? But that all comes down to this shit of the batteries again, and I'm not going to harp on about that for too long, but you know my feelings on it. Anyway, I've had my say about going to the naturally aspirated V10. I won't bring that up again. I've just done it, but there it is. So the race start itself was pretty hectic. Obviously, it was almost a repeat of Melbourne in terms of the format. The first third was lots of jostling. First, second, third, fourth, fighting for position, overtakes every corner, into the braking zones. They're all fighting for position. That was great. It's great racing. But is it unofficial? Yes, I believe it is. I'll move on from that argument. So, the thing is about the race start is you've got to also consider there was 4 cars missing off the grid. It was meant to be 22. They turned up with 18. So, the way I see it is, you imagine saving all your money up. You're going to say to yourself, right, I'm going to go to see my favourite show. I'm going to go and see the Phantom of the Opera. You turn up, you get in your box seat, you sit down and you say, right, cool, I've saved all this money up to buy a ticket. Then the announcer comes out and says, oh, sorry, tonight's performance of Phantom of the Opera is not going to appear with the actor playing Jean Valjean because he can't find the stage door. So they just run the show anyway without the lead character. I mean, that was the case with Lando Norris not being there as the reigning world champion. And for McLaren and Norris fans, it was certainly disappointing. For myself as a Piastri fan and a McLaren fan, it was disappointing. But then also, you've got to consider Audi have turned up without Bortoleto and Williams turned up without Albon. So that's 4 cars gone. So I think F1 are going to start to look at this again and say, shit, where are we going wrong? We've lost 4 cars before the start of the race. All those Chinese fans haven't turned up to pay to watch, all these drivers missing off the grid. So it was great racing at the start, but does F1 need to review their current situation, change their logo back to this logo, or change it to this logo at least with a battery symbol in it? Because that's certainly the way it's going with the technology they're using, it's just stepping away from F1 being the pinnacle of motorsport. And I think something's got to be done to review it, and hopefully after Suzuka, with the now break with Bahrain and Saudi Arabia being cancelled because of the Middle East conflict, there might be a time to review it. And I'm not going to say they change the engine rigs, but there might be some alternate motive they can come up with, some other mediocre change to, I don't know, not take the emphasis off the battery, but just do something. Because, there's purists and old school fans like myself that have been around and just probably just not fans of this current format. I mean, Checo Perez is not a fan of it. Ralph Schumacher's made his claim. Jacques Villeneuve's come on board and said it's just a gimmick. Interesting. So, I reckon the greatest battle I watched the whole time I was sitting there in the Shanghai circuit was the battle between the Haas and the Alpine guys. And that was great. And then obviously, Ocon and Colapinto, they're coming together in front of me. And thankfully, Colapinto was able to come back and get a point for the team, which is probably going to save his career at the end of the day. Now, due to attrition, we also lost Stroll, Alonso and Verstappen throughout the race. And you can see from this image that obviously Alonso was forced to take his hands off the wheel because of the vibrations through the steering wheel. But I can also tell you that when that Aston Martin was going around in free practice 1, I was witness to it, and it sounded like it had a 2-stroke Honda outboard at the back of it. It was the most shocking sound I've ever heard out of an F1 car. It just did not sound like anything. It was just shit, garbage noise just coming out of the back of that thing. I don't know what Honda have done with exhaust baffles or whatever, but it just sounds so bad. So we get to the conclusion of the race. Obviously, Antonelli, as we were witness to with Russell in Melbourne, Antonelli from about the last 2/3 of the race, after the first third had gone through, Antonelli was just out in front and could not be beaten. He just had himself and daylight second. And it was a credit to the young bloke to take his first win. And, I mean, people are going to talk about the Mercedes dominance. Well, I hate to break it to you, but at the end of the day, some teams got to win the championship. And is it Mercedes again? Well, so be it. I mean, they've had their chance. McLaren have had their chance. Red Bull, it's a cyclical thing. It's ebbs and flows. It's just the way the championship works. If Mercedes have found a loophole with the compression ratio, it's going to be probably reduced or taken away after Canada anyway. They've been told that. So if it is Merc dominance, so be it. What can we do? Nothing. We just have to sit back and enjoy it for the experience and the racing that they can provide, at least in the first third of a race. So that's it. That's my thoughts for the Chinese Grand Prix for this year, and I'll be back at the normal desk for the Japanese Grand Prix. Until then, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.